It is Friday the 13th of November 2020 and this is the MMA Movement live chat. I'm your host Rob Palin and joined as always by Sean Taylor, who's on the other side of the screen, looking a little bit different because of Movember. Of course he's wearing a random football jersey as he usually does, but he's sporting a little something on his face. Sean, would you like to explain what's going on here?
Yeah, it's disgusting, really. So myself and a couple of friends are doing Movember. Obviously, we're running 100k each, running or walking 100k kilometers each. That's the challenge anyway. And then we're also growing these, which is quite disgusting because it doesn't grow here, it doesn't grow here, and it doesn't grow here. So basically, I just get left with something that really looks like I should be on like a sex offenders register or something.
No, it looks grand. The only thing is, it looks like, do you ever see when you have like a normal version of somebody and then you have the evil version of somebody, and they always have a goatee like in South Park?
Yeah.
That's pretty much what's going on. You look like the evil version of Sean now, which is
the jerseys Red Bull Salzburg, if anyone's interested.
Yeah, I'm sure they will want to buy a Red Bull. Sure.
Who would?
Yeah, me. But lots to talk about today. There's a card on this weekend, a UFC card. It is headlined now by Paul Felder versus Rafael dos Anjos. Of course, it was supposed to be Islam Makhachev against RDA, but Islam is out. Also, as usual on this show, we'd like to take your questions. So if you're in the chat right now, put the questions into the chat because we don't really like talking to each other that much. We talk to each other too much. We'd rather talk to you people. But there was also some news about Conor and Poirier. The fight is almost official. I think MMA Fighting jumped the gun on it a little bit. They announced that it was official,
Yeah.
and then it's since been rectified.
Dana said as far as he was concerned, it was done. And
Okay.
then it was reported, like, it seems to be all verbally agreed, which is grand. This happens, regular fights get verbally agreed and then they get signed.
Sure.
And then Dana said, no, it's not done. So I think Dana talking through his arse.
I love your relationship with Dana White. It's brilliant. It's
Yeah.
like I wish we could get him on the show just so you and him could, I don't know, you, him and Brendan Schaub should start a podcast together.
I think
see what
my dad had taught my brain too much, man. I couldn't do it.
So yeah,
Plus
let's
they
start.
both fucked me up.
Yeah. Let's quickly start with the Conor stuff because I want to talk about the card because I'm actually kind of interested in it. There's some good fights on it. It's not the best card in the world, but there's plenty there to talk about, and I want to probably give a bit more time to that. So let's jump straight to the Conor stuff. We kind of spoke about this a few weeks ago when it was rumored whether we like the fight or not. But I guess there's been some time has passed since. So let's refresh on that for the people who haven't seen it. So what's your thoughts on the actual fight? And
Love it.
you love it, and also, do you think it's going to happen this year? Because it looks like Conor's pushing for that, or do you think it will happen starting next year?
I hope it happens this year. Like, I think there is something to the theory that the UFC necessarily don't want to give into Conor, and they kind of had their plan for the end of the year on the cards. And I think we're going to discuss this in a bit, but like, Conor would normally be able to exert quite a bit of leverage on the UFC when he wants to.
Yeah.
And I think what we're kind of seeing here is them not necessarily giving in to that star power of his anymore because they don't need to with the guarantees that they have with ESPN. We'll talk a bit about that. But yeah, I hope it happens this year. I mean, that final pay-per-view has lost Amanda Nunes' fight now with Megan Anderson. So I think it kind of makes... I mean, you still have the Jan and Sterling fight, which is a cracking fight.
Yeah.
It's probably not a headline event. But I think if you stick a McGregor fight on that, you have two brilliant fights there, I think.
Yeah, so I wonder about that. So we did kind of discuss this offline, or not on the show, I guess. And we were talking about that fight, and as you said, I love that fight, the Jan Sterling fight. It's brilliant. It's a fight we've been calling for a long time, the hardcore fans anyway. But is it a headliner? Like, I mean, is it a sellable fight? I'm not sure. Like, Peter Yan, I think at the end of the day, I think it was a good idea to put Peter Yan in there against Jose Aldo because I think he probably got a bit of a rub from that. Say what you will about the actual matchmaking in terms of the whole meritocracy and all that. I don't know. But in terms of like him actually maybe getting a rub from it, I think it was a good idea. But still, I don't think he got much from it. Or I don't think he got enough from it to be like a commercially viable headliner right now.
Yeah.
But are the UFC even looking at that? Because, as you said, with the deal that you have now with ESPN, it seems like they're just trying to get these events done so they get their guarantee.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
do you care?
the thing is now, if they whack McGregor on that card, who did they put on the January one? So then you have to go to the thing of finding as in you can stick a good non-title bout in the co-main event for that card. If you put Jan and Sterling as the main event, you can put a good fight that the fans will be interested in the co-main, and it's probably still going to sell what Amanda would realistically 150, 250 buys.
Yeah.
250, yeah. And then you can stick McGregor in the January pay-per-view. So there's two pay-per-views. Whereas if they stick McGregor in December, then they have to find another headline event for January.
Yeah. And for me, like, I love these big events personally,
Yeah.
but I can see why the UFC wouldn't necessarily want to go for them because they don't need
Yeah.
to. But like, I would take a average to mediocre event if I can get the next one to be a blockbuster. Personally, I like that myself because I'm gonna watch all the cards anyway. But give me a reason to stay up to 3 a.m. for the main card and then till 6 a.m. to watch the main event.
Yeah.
Or otherwise, I'll just watch it the next day. I don't really care.
I think the real issue is, like, we've talked this before and it's stupid again, but it does kind of come back to this. There's too many cards. There's too many pay-per-views.
There's a lot of cards.
I mean, why not? Why
That's just UFC too.
Yeah, why does there have to be a pay-per-view every month? Why not do one every 2 months and stack it? It's that cheddar cheese, man, but yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Couple of questions / comments in the live chat. Derek Moore Story Boys and Fight Dialogue asked a question that I want to go back to because I just want to get to these comments first. David Little, why doesn't Sean say hello babies anymore? I actually wondered that myself.
To be honest, I forgot that I said it. It had been before
That
when
was
we
more
came
of a
back.
podcast thing, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Like
I forgot we did a podcast. It had been so long when we came back. I just forgot about it.
I know. Well, it still lives on in
You can blame
David
Rob, I
Little's.
suppose, realistically, if you wanted in for that. Because
Why'd you blame me for?
just passing the book.
Just because, fair enough. A question from the Fight Dialogue. Is it just me or do fighters start losing more consistently after becoming analysts / commentators? I need to see the data. I know that's like not the sexiest of answers. It's kind of sitting on the fence.
Sure about that.
But I'd love to check. I would love to look into that because I mean, in some ways it does make sense. Like, in some ways I think both make sense to me because
you can argue either way, really.
Yeah, so you could have, again, this is like disregarding the data because I actually can't think of whether this is actually happening or not. But you could say they're analysts now, they're analysing more fights, they're doing more study. In theory, should they be becoming better fighters, at least in certain ways? And
I think that's a viable argument.
And then the second thing, and that's something about Paul Felder this weekend, which I think is a very interesting aspect of the fight.
Yeah.
He probably has done a lot of study on RDA. He must have. He's commentating it, or he was supposed to. And then the other side of the argument is, man, that kind of thing does take up a lot of your time. Like all that study, like even just doing this show where we come on very ill prepared, it still takes a lot of time to do. Like imagine working the UFC event. So you can kind of see why both sides would have an effect. Yeah,
like if you ever listen to John Anik or John Gooden talk about the hours that have to go into a UFC card and commentating on it, it's
even
pretty insane.
Noel told us about his like preparation, and Phil.
It's insane when you think about it, and Phil Campbell as well would know all about it. But it's wild when you think about it because I'm obviously very lazy. I come on here and shoot from the hip, don't put a whole pile of read. The only thing, the thing I spend the longest looking at is gambling odds, or betting odds. So, it's pretty sick. But I think there are two very feasible arguments for commentating. I don't know if there isn't an example that sticks out in my head as someone getting a job commentating on the UFC and then their career going down the shitter as such. I mean, DC has done it, mixed it with fighting. Felder has done it.
He had a lot of success. DC did.
Who else has done it? Bisping wasn't doing it while he was fighting. I don't think
he was. Maybe near the end, but I don't think so.
Chiesa is doing a bit of stuff on the desk,
but he's just barely fighting. Chiesa,
yeah. Right? There's no one that stands out. If Fight Dialogue's in the channel or in the chat, I'd quite like to hear from him on that one.
Yeah. Let me see if there's any more questions there. Or Derek Moore said, does the rest of the card look shit, or is it only me? I don't know if he's talking about. Let us know which one you're talking about. Is it 256 you're talking about, the Peter Yan card, or are you talking about this weekend's card? Because the Peter Yan card and Aljo, it's fine. Nothing really stands out. Like it's not great, is it? I think I like the Junior Dos Santos Cyril Gain fight because I think Cyril Gain is a prospect, and Junior is probably a good guy to put to check that out to see if he's actually a prospect.
Cub Swanson is at the bottom of the prelims at the minute as it stands.
Daniel Pineda. That's not a bad fight. Daniel was out for a while.
Chase Hooper back is interesting.
Yeah. Like I mean, Mackenzie
Dern. Card actually, that one.
It's not bad. It's not great though. It's not
no,
bad,
it's
but
not.
It's not great.
I mean, Vittori and Souza or Jacare, grand fight.
Yeah,
a grand card.
Yeah, and then if you're talking about this weekend's card, I think this weekend's card is absolutely fine for what it is. It's a fight night card. I think it has some good fights on it. It's not offensive to me. It's fine.
It's not offensive. That card doesn't offend me.
No, it doesn't offend me.
The figure eight, I think the next pay-per-view is probably a worse card. It's not great.
I was actually going to bring that up because there's another main event that probably wouldn't have been a main event in the old UFC pre ESPN.
That's co-main event all day. As in, DJ couldn't get a main event to save his life. I think he was a couple of times, but it was on regular cards, not pay-per-view.
It was on fight nights, which is good in some ways for them as well, because I don't think DJ was ever going to hit the threshold for pay-per-view points unless he was under somebody. I think that's kind of what he pushed for, either be the co-main event of a big card or else main event of fight night, because you're getting more eyeballs on you, Speaking of DJ, I don't know if you've seen this. I only seen the headline, so maybe the headline was, I don't know, misleading. But apparently DJ said that he may not fight again because of COVID.
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting. Did you watch One Championship today, actually?
No, I didn't watch it. I'm going to check it out later or tomorrow.
Yeah, I saw it was on, but no, I didn't check it out. That's interesting. DJ.
Yeah,
I've seen the result. There hasn't been more fighters who've come out and said, I'm not fighting at the minute.
Yeah.
I don't think it's safe, whatever. Whether it is or not, I don't know. It's up to them to decide. But I'm just surprised there hasn't been more high-profile guys who've said, I don't want to fight now at the minute.
Yeah. Make sure you get your questions into the live chat. We would love to answer
them.
Ask us anything. Ask Sean anything.
Shogun and Paul Craig is on that UFC 255 card. Jesus. It's on the main card as well, man.
Why do I feel like they fought before?
I think they have, didn't they?
Didn't
Craig get it like a Hail Mary submission or something?
No, I don't think so. Well, Paul Craig does do that a lot, but why do I feel like they fought? I could be completely wrong.
They did. It was a split decision draw.
They did, didn't they?
Back in 2019, yeah.
Oh, brilliant. That's insane that Shogun is still fighting these days.
Mad.
I wrote a script for MMA on Point very recently. I don't know when it's due to come out, but it was about like the most anticipated. This is a spoiler for anybody who watches the videos.
Mm-hmm.
It was the most anticipated debuts that got derailed. So like, that kind of thing. Shogun is in there and he's quite high because remember when he came into the UFC, like Shogun was the absolute man in Pride. The man. He had an amazing run in the 2005 middleweight Grand Prix. If you haven't seen that, just go watch it because it's 4 fights. He beats Quentin Jackson with soccer kicks. He has an all-time great fight against Nogueira, Little Nog. He finishes Alistair Overeem, a light heavyweight Alistair Overeem. Always weird to see. And he beats Ricardo Arona, who was one of the best middleweights or light heavyweights, whatever you want to say, because the weight classes were weird in Pride. But one of the best runs ever. Then he goes to the UFC, and that was a little bit before, but he goes to the UFC and loses to Forrest. And like he looked done like around that time. Eventually he won the belt, but then like I seriously can't believe he's still fighting Shogun. It's absolutely insane. He's been in so many wars too.
Yeah, dude's been around the block.
Yeah, and it goes to show you because remember we used to do a thing called Educating Young Sean on the actual podcast. And we must have gave you like fucking I don't know how many Shogun fights because
a lot of fights, yeah.
He's just had so many.
There was a lot of guys who were like repeat offenders in that series. It was like Cowboy,
Vanderlei,
yeah. What do you call him? Fado.
Yeah, there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot of
Shogun.
Yeah,
George St. Pierre. Matt Hughes, fucking the list fucking goes on.
Basically naming all the legends of the sport.
Mount Rushmore of MMA life.
There's a reason why they're legends. Crazy though. Derek Moore said they might do it in December and try get McGregor versus Habib in March if he wins. Man, I don't know about Habib now. Like, we done the whole thing. I thought it was very funny, like looking back at it now, because we never trust MMA retirements.
Mm.
Khabib retires, and then we say, do you know what? I think he might be retired. And then almost immediately, like a couple of days later, we're like, oh, it looks like Khabib is coming back.
Yeah.
And now it actually looks like he is retired. So I'm not actually sure if Khabib is going to return. And if he returns, I'd be very skeptical that he's going to take a McGregor fight. Very, very skeptical.
Yeah. I said this. I think it's a GSP or nothing for him now. If like, I'd be offended if he did come back, because I bought into the retirement and I believed that. I thought he was a genuine guy. Like McGregor started this. He didn't start it, but like he's number one on this MMA retirements thing.
Oh Jesus! Thanks for the
there's
cheese,
been a lot
bro.
of them. Yeah, there's been a lot of them, but yeah, I think it's GSP or nothing for Khabib. Like, I don't see a rematch with Conor and Tyson back. He neither wants nor cares for the money, and doesn't want to give McGregor the payday more than anything, I think.
Yeah. Speaking of MMA retirements and how they don't stick, I don't know if you can think of one now, but I'd love to hear people's thoughts in the chats. Which MMA retirement that didn't stick actually worked out for the best? So like when they retired, but then said, no, I'm going to come back, but actually worked out for the best. The reason why I thought of it is because you were talking about legends there a minute ago, and I just thought of Randy Couture, who I think retired like 3 times. And each time he came back, I think he won a title. So that's definitely one.
Yeah.
I guess you could argue McGregor. It wasn't retirement though. Like, I don't think it was ever gonna be a retirement.
No, it was never a retirement. Like, you can't even call them retirements. I mean, GSPs I wouldn't even call an MMA retirement.
Yeah.
Because he actually did retire.
Yeah.
And he made a comeback and stuff. But like, an MMA retirement is one of those ones that are just like, all right, okay, good man. And then they offer you a fight 6 months down the line, and then you're back in the cage.
Yeah. It's like Henry
Stefan
Cejudo
Struve done it a while back.
Actually,
he was retired.
He retired because he had some kind of brain issue.
Yeah.
And then he still comes back.
Fucked up by Tai Tuivasa.
In a sport where you get punched in the head, if a brain injury isn't going to keep you out, fucking nothing is going to keep you out.
Yeah.
Frank Shamrock was a weird one, actually. Now, he didn't have success really when he came back, but he retired when he was on top. He won he defended the belt like 5 times. And then the UFC were like, you are the best fighter ever. You're gonna be a champion forever. And he's like, yeah, I'm retired, in the post-fight interview, like in the cage. I was like, okay. Weird. Derek Moore, I think in Dan Hardy's case, he would be a better fighter if he came back. I think you're right. I think
he's an interesting one.
Yeah, I think he's right. I don't know I'll get your opinion on it next, but I think he's right about that. I think he'd be a better fighter technically. I just don't know physically if he'll be as good. Probably, but I don't know. He took a lot of damage in his career. And guys are just so much better these days. Like, so much better. Yeah,
I think Hardy's an interesting one. And to be honest, I'd like to leave the air and mystique around that one and not see him come back at this stage. I agree in that he probably will be technically better. And you can see when he talks as well, he just has that kind of itch at the minute, I think.
Yeah.
I think he would be technically better because he's a martial artist. That's what he does. He works on it. But yeah, I think the sport has evolved since he was in it. The guys are bigger, they're stronger. Yeah, I'd like to leave. There's a lot to be said for leaving the air of mystique around.
Yeah, he's been out for so long as well. Do you know what's a weird one about Dan Hardy? Like, Dan Hardy right now, in the position that he's in, and just being outside of fighting, in terms of being an active competitor, he seems like such a nice guy. Such a nice guy, so down to earth. And I actually met him. When was it? It was at the McGregor. It was actually UFC Dublin, the first UFC Dublin. Well, second, the one that Conor brought him back for. He was at the open workouts, and I met him there. And me and my mate Carl were chatting with him for a while. Super nice guy, very very nice. But when he was a fighter, an active fighter, he was an absolute dick. He was kind of like Michael Bisping at his worst. Like he used to trash talk a lot. He used to seem like a different person, and I think he actually revealed, I'm not sure, I didn't read his book, but I think he said that in his book, that he kind of had to put himself in that space he had to get angry at his opponents, that type of thing.
Yeah.
So I wonder if he did come back, would he be different? Like, would he return to the old outlaw days of Dan Hardy, or would he continue to be very respectful and just say, I'm going to come back because I want to prove myself? Because he was a different guy back then, I think, anyway. I don't know if anyone else has any opinions on that.
He kind of talks about that in his book, though.
Does he?
Mentions that,
I didn't read it.
reptilian where you get into that reptilian side of the brain, and it
Yeah.
just, you flick a switch as such. But yeah,
Yeah, it's interesting. But yeah, I wouldn't be too interested in seeing him coming back. I think he's great at his job that he does now, to be honest.
leave that air of mystique, man. Let people wonder. There's a lot to be
Yeah.
said for letting people wonder.
Yeah, exactly. Next question. But also, if you can like this video, please do. Really appreciate it. Because it helps with the YouTube stuff. They have a little, what version of Conor McGregor do you think we will get this time? Respectful Conor, or do you think the version we got versus Habib is gone now? Yeah, that's a kind of an interesting one, because
I don't think Conor knows the answer to that one.
no, I don't think so. It probably depends on the opponent. I do think he's very analytical in terms of how he plays the game mentally. Like, he knows against Donald Cerrone. I think he knew. Like, well, maybe not, because with Donald, it seems like if you antagonize Donald, he fights worse. So maybe Conor saw something else there.
I think he probably just knew he had the better of Donald.
Oh, exactly. And also, I don't think McGregor was in the best situation then in terms of his public image. And I don't think he still is. So
yeah, I think he played the game nicely with that one, to be fair, around that time especially.
Yeah, so I don't know what one we'll get back. I think it depends on who he fights.
Yeah, I honestly, I think if he fights Dustin, I think we'll get a fairly respectful Conor.
Yeah.
Dustin's changed. I mean, when they fought first, they were both quite brash and loud and trash talking. I think Dustin's changed a lot since then. He's matured. He's a dad now. He's got his whole good fight foundation thing going on.
Yeah.
He's a super nice guy now. So yeah, I think we get a pretty. I don't see Conor trash talking Dustin, because Dustin's just gonna be him now. I think so. Yeah, I don't see the point in trash talking, one-way trash talking at the minute. So yeah, I don't see it.
Yeah, I agree. I think particularly as well because they accepted the fight on the grounds of doing it for charity originally. I know it's not going to happen, but Conor still said that he was going to donate some money to his charity. I think it would be a bit of a weird move if Conor starts fucking trash talking him and all this. I don't see that happening. But good question. Thanks, Dave. Kevin from Chicago. Does the men from Ireland consider Paul Felder Irish?
No,
I don't think so. Now, listen, right? I have a weird kind of thing on this. I don't like if an American considers themselves Irish, go for it. I'm not.
Yeah,
like, so,
belt away, man.
Yeah, go for it. Live it up. You know,
do
it, because like, to be fair, America is a very different country than Ireland. A very different country than a lot of places. You know, it's a country of immigrants, and if you if you are attached to your heritage, go for it, man. I just don't think most Irish people would like call Irish Americans Irish.
No.
Although we do sometimes do it, you know, we'll accept them.
We like to claim them if we can.
We do like to claim them.
Yeah. But yeah, I assume Felder has some Irish heritage somewhere, but like he's not. Yeah. There's no like massively strong links there, I don't think, at the minute.
I think he had Irish American parents. I don't think his parents emigrated. I think it was his parents that emigrated, as far as I know. But like, fuck it, man, go for it. He's ginger, definitely some Irish in there. You know what I mean?
Stereotyping.
Yeah. There's that Derek Moore. Nope, I ain't Irish, but he's more than welcome to rep us. If we fucking need as many as we can get in the UFC, because we have 0, we have 2. Technically, we have Reese McKee, who fights this weekend. Would be a great little segue, but
that would have been
not
immense.
Quite yet. And then we have Conor, and that's really it, isn't it?
We have a couple of honorary Irishmen. We'll claim Gunnar.
We'll claim Gunnar,
we'll claim Gunnar.
Yeah. Is that it?
Joe Duffy's gone.
We'll claim Ilir Latifi because he came to Ireland to fight, and he picked up a hurl and absolutely.
Are we claiming any guy who's ever been to SPG?
Yeah, Americani.
Yeah,
he does live here though. He does live here, I believe. I seen him out in the living room before.
Did you?
Yeah, on like around New Year's, just strolling around. It's like, oh, there's
what
Americani.
What a shithole of a spot is that?
Oh, it's fucking awful.
What a dive, man.
I wanted to go to Fibbers.
That is not a good spot. Gee, it's so loud in there all the time as well. You can't talk.
It's garbage.
Yeah, it's not good.
Dermot Hayes. Hopefully Rumble Johnson will give us some knockouts if he's back. Hopefully so. I wonder where he will come back weight class wise. I'd imagine light heavyweight.
Do you think? Oh well, maybe I suppose the minute where the belt is, but
fuck man, yeah.
Him at heavyweight's quite fun.
It is fun. It is fun.
Well, I think.
Yeah, it is. Kevin from Chicago. If you're going off surname, American surname, don't tell the story. Many Americans change their names to assimilate. Fair enough. Every day Dan's put off this fight, I think, is a disservice to himself. Oh, I think he's talking about Dan Hardy. Every day he doesn't fight, it's a disservice to himself. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, no, man. That guy's got a good career going at the minute with his analysis, his punditry, his YouTube channel. He's got that clothing line out, Full Reptile. In my opinion, he doesn't have a need, other than his own want. He doesn't have a need to come back.
Yeah. There's a question there about last night's event. Did we watch the Logan Storley Amosov fight? And that's the one fight I haven't watched yet. I've heard amazing things about it. I've heard it was a great fight, but I was trying to get as many fights in as possible before we started this, and that was one of the ones that went to decision. So I was like, I'll watch that later. But I've heard great things. And yeah, Amosov is 24-0, I believe. 25-0. 25-0 actually. 25-0. Hell of a run. And the guys who he has beat in Bellator so far, Gerald Harris, Eric Silva, David Rickles, Ed Ruth, man, these aren't bad guys. Mark Lemminger, and now Logan Storley, was 11-0 going into last night's event.
Yeah.
We have a prospect there. We have an absolute prospect there.
I watched that fight. I saw some of the card. I saw the flying knee. You saw that as well?
Yes.
I
saw the Pico fight.
Aaron Pico looked good.
One of the better performances of his career, I think.
Yeah, I think he's starting to turn it around. I mean, it's been a tough transition from to MMA. But yeah, I think everyone would like to see him turn around because the dude's definitely got potential.
He has huge potential. Like, I mean, you can argue that he is the biggest and best prospect ever to come into MMA. Like, if you look at the credentials he had coming into MMA, they're absolutely insane. I can't think of anybody off the top of my head who had those kind of credentials. So, I think he fell in love with the fight. He just wanted to bite down on his mouthpiece and throw bombs. And in ways he was successful, but you're always going to get caught like that. And when you have a wrestling background that he has, come on, man, start using it.
There's only so long you can play the rope-a-dope.
Yeah, and I think you're right, though. I think, like, he's turning the corner in terms of how to actually blend those styles together. And I think that move he's in Jackson Wink now, isn't it? I think that move has done him wonders, to be honest. So yeah. John C. Conor hasn't referred to Manny Pacquiao recently. Is it because Dana said no, or because Khabib is possibly gone and he plans to stay in MMA? Conor hasn't really mentioned boxing too much lately. He's just been talking about coming back to the UFC.
I think it's probably because the Dustin fight came up.
Yeah, I still think he wants that.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if we didn't see Conor and Manny fight at some point.
So would I, which is kind of weird, isn't it?
I think there is something of a dispute. This might explain it a bit. There's something of a dispute between Paradigm and Manny Pacquiao. I think
he's repped by Paradigm, right?
Supposedly. Pacquiao says he's not on the contract and that he can promote his own fights and that he's going to do so under his own promotional banner. Paradigm say he's under their contract, so I think there's a bit of an issue there. So we'll see what happens there.
It's such a freak show fight, isn't it? I would watch the hell out of it because I'm a very sick person, and I do like spectacle and I like freak shows, so I'd watch it, but I don't want to see it. Does that make sense? I'd watch it, but I don't want to see it.
It's not competitive.
No, it's not competitive at all. It's worse than the Mayweather one.
As in, Manny's still fighting at an elite level in boxing. Still. Yeah. And you would think with McGregor and boxing, fool us once, shame on us. Fool us twice.
Yeah, it's just a spectacle. Yeah. That's all it is. You know what I mean?
Shame on you, actually. I got the phrase wrong, but fool us once, shame on you.
You've done a George Bush. Remember George Bush done that? He fucked up the phrase. Derek Moore. Keep asking questions in the chat, guys, and we're going to talk about the card as well. We're going to go for about an hour in total, so we've gone about half an hour, so about another half an hour, a little bit more. But yeah, what do you guys think about Rhys McKee? I've always been a big fan of Rhys McKee. I think he's an excellent fighter. I definitely think he has problems, and we saw them problems in his last fight against
the last
Hamzat.
fight was Hamzat, in fairness.
No, but he's always had that issue. Now, Hamzat is a different breed. I think even if he didn't have an issue in the past with his wrestling, Hamzat was going to expose that, because he's going to expose that. Hamzat's going to expose that against, like, in a lot of people's games.
Yeah.
But, like, if you go back and you look at, let me just pull up his record, but it was Terry Brazier, wasn't it, that Reese fought?
Yeah, that was up at, was that
welter.
170 Cage Warriors? What was that, 55?
I believe it was just, like, his first fight at welterweight.
Maybe it was, yeah. I remember that fight.
And it kind of a similar thing happened. Now, it wasn't to the level of, it was Terry Brazier. Similar thing happened. That was actually Bama. But
so it was.
He's in this weird position, not only in terms of his wrestling skills, which I think have come on leaps and bounds, but in terms of his frame, like, he's a big guy. If you ever see Reese in real life, he is, like, he towers over you.
Yeah.
But he's still slim.
Yeah.
He's not built like a normal welterweight. Lightweight or welterweight. So I think when he fights at welterweight, which is again where he's fighting this weekend, it's tough for him against these wrestlers who have a strength advantage and who have a skill advantage in the wrestling, because sometimes he gets caught up against the cage. So I think he really needs to use his footwork against Morono. But the only thing about Morono is, yes, he does wrestle a bit, but he does like to brawl. So I do think, we were talking about this today, Sean, if he doesn't beat Alex Morono, it's going to be tough for him in the UFC, because these are the type of guys that he has to beat, right?
Yeah. Somewhat surprised to see Reese this big of an underdog. He's 13-8. I think there's a bit of juice in that now for me.
Yeah.
Because like we said, if he does want to go on a run in the UFC, he's going to have to be beating these guys. So yeah, I think he's going to have to beat those guys. Like Moreno's, he's not exactly pulled up any trees in the UFC. Morono,
whatever.
So
yeah, like, I mean, I don't know. Tapology is 31% are picking Reese McKee, 69% are picking Morono. So it kind of is reflected in the odds, isn't it? So maybe the bookies have it fairly okay. But yeah, I think there's some money to be made on Reese there, but we'll see. It's not the easiest fight, but as we said, it's the kind of fight that really he should be winning if he wants to remain in the UFC going forward. There was a comment there saying, from Kevin from Chicago, my favorite Irish fighter is Canelo Alvarez.
That's what you get for ginger comments.
Yeah. Ginger Mexican.
Canelo actually left his DAZN and Golden Boy contracts, so he's free to do what he wants now.
Did you also see that apparently Canelo and Eddie Hearn have, like, almost, I don't know if they've come to an agreement, but they're talking to have him fight on DAZN again?
Yeah.
What the fuck?
So
how does
funny.
that work?
Because it wouldn't be, so Canelo's agreement, previous agreement was specifically with DAZN, and this would be with Matchroom Boxing USA.
But it'd just be funny, wouldn't it? Like, sue these guys and then go back and fight. It's funny.
I think that fight with Callum Smith's a fucking great fight, by the way. Hope that happens.
Yeah. I don't know much about
Callum a good chance in that fight.
Yeah. Awesome.
Smith's a big fucker. Like, he is a big light heavy or big super middleweight.
Yeah.
He's not exactly built like a normal super middle either. A tall, rangy guy.
Yeah.
So interesting fight. Yeah.
Interesting. See Kell Brook and
Towns Crawford.
Fight this weekend. Did you see the odds for that?
Yeah. It's not good. Like,
it's insane.
Kell's been a wasted career.
Yeah. David Little, what do you think about Conor's comments on Twitter that he should have fought Woodley pre-Mayweather? Didn't even see this. How would you have seen that playing out? I think that's a terrible fight for Conor.
Yeah, if your aunt had balls, she'd be your uncle. I think pre-Mayweather. Mayweather was what year was that? 2018, 2017?
Jesus, no. When was that? Let me get this, because we need to be right on these. I feel like Mayweather was like 2017. I could be completely wrong. Let me see. Conor McGregor Wikipedia. Let's pull this up, shall we? Jesus, this Wikipedia page is long. 2017, August 2017. So he's talking like early 2017, and that was Tyron Woodley when he was when he was decisioning Stephen Thompson twice, or the draw, and then Stephen Thompson sparking Robbie Lawler. Come here.
So if he's saying he should have fought Tyrant pre-Mayweather, you're looking at 2016 when he was starting Robbie Lawler, Kelvin Gastelum. I think the further you go back, the worse a matchup that is for Conor. So yeah, if you're on that ball, should be your uncle. Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
Yeah.
Don't think he beats Woodley the further back you go. Like he might beat him now, but we've seen Woodley in his last, what's he on, a 3-fight skid now?
Yeah.
Hasn't won a round in 2 of them.
Yeah.
Let's 3 of them arguably.
Yeah, let's jump into some picks and some analysis on this card this weekend, because there's some decent fights on it. And to be honest, there's some fights that I think are interestingly priced by the bookies, that maybe there's some price out of some value in some of these guys. So main event, Paul Felder against Rafael dos Anjos. Paul Felder, I believe, is not a big underdog, but there's some, something there, isn't there?
Yeah, a big fan of you saying there's some interestingly priced fights when you hadn't looked at them today until I text you.
I know, then I looked at them
yeah.
after. Yeah.
I'm only joking. Yeah, there is some. I think there's some good value in this card. I think Felder is a really solid underdog to be looking at.
Yeah.
There's 13 to 8 available. I think there might be slightly bigger going somewhere else, but I can't remember where. I think Felder's well worth to go here. I think he was training for a triathlon. I don't see cardio being a massive issue.
Yeah.
He's been training like a madman already. We've kind of mentioned that he would have been watching tape on RDA anyway.
Yeah. Well, he should have been. If he was doing his job, he should have been.
Yeah. RDA has been around a while as well, so I think he'll be aware of what RDA is about anyway.
Yeah, of course. I'm sure he's been looking at him for a while, like thinking maybe I'll have to fight this guy at some point.
Yeah. RDA hasn't looked all that impressive of late. The dude's getting old. He moved up to 170. Now he's back at 155, excuse me. Back at 155. 13-8 on Felder. I think there's enough juice in that for me to have a go at the underdog.
Yeah, especially because this is Dos Anjos' first fight back down at 55. And if
he did make weight today now.
Yeah, but if you remember, he had some trouble making that weight before, as did Paul Felder. How did they look on the scales? I didn't see the pictures. Did they look okay?
They looked okay. Yeah,
both of them look okay.
Felder might look. I was afraid Felder might look a little bit worse, but yeah, it looked okay. He weighed in at 155.75. So I think RDA weighed in at 156. So yeah, no major drama about it.
Fair enough. I'd still be worried about Rafael dos Anjos at this stage of his career going back down to that weight. Like, how will his cardio hold up? Because he's
won 1 fight in his last 5. So.
Exactly. I know that was a good win against Kevin Lee, and it was in the 4th round.
Yeah.
Now, that was at welter though, obviously, because he hasn't fought at lightweight in a while.
His last fight at lightweight
was the Tony Ferguson fight.
Correct. Yeah, back in 2016, almost pretty much 4 years ago to the month.
Yeah. And
a long time.
I never thought he was a cardio machine at lightweight anyway. I think Paul Felder, especially now after doing training for a triathlon, that's good. And I do like that Felder accepts his fight in 5 days' notice. Seems to make the weight handily. He's training for a triathlon, so he must have been very confident in his conditioning. And like, he's going in here with, I wouldn't say nothing to lose, because you do lose. If you lose a fight, you lose a fight. It is what it is. But like, he has a different mindset going in here. And then when you think about Rafael dos Anjos, who he was supposed to fight in Islam Makhachev, who is a wildly different fighter than Paul Felder. Makhachev, we know what he was going to do. He was going to strike a little bit, but he's going to look for the takedown when it was there. And that's something that Dos Anjos has struggled with in the past. So he has a very different test here with Paul Felder, who's just going to want to strike with him. And who, in my opinion, has improved his takedown defense a lot. And as well, Dos Anjos has never been like a wrestling machine. Like, he doesn't have takedowns from everywhere. So I think it's a very interesting one. And I do think there is some value there for Paul Felder.
Yeah, I think you can easily come up with good enough reasons to back Paul Felder in this one. And honestly, I think it's a more exciting fight than the Makhachev one. I text you when it got announced. I was actually really excited for it. I'm probably going to stay up for the card now, I think. So
yeah. Kevin from Chicago, I'm waiting for the wear and tear to catch up on RDA. Dude has been in there with everybody. Think if Paul cracks him, he can put him down. I wouldn't be too surprised either, to be honest. I think we have seen a little bit of the wear and tear on RDA. Like, I don't think he's a completely shot fighter at this point, but we have seen some of it. Now, we have to take into account that Paul Felder had an incredible fight in his last one, and that will take years off your career. Yeah, arguably won it, but I mean, that was a tough fight.
Yeah, I'm so guilty of this as well. As in he lost it until he didn't, like, until it suits your argument. Do you know that kind of way?
I know. Yeah, but he took a lot of damage, so
Yeah.
Those are the type of fights that change fighters. So that's
Yeah.
what I'm wondering as well. So just there's something to be said there as well.
Felder was talking about, I love this as well. Felder was talking about retiring if he wins. I think that's class. What a way to go.
That'd be amazing, yeah.
Take the fight on 3.5 days notice, go in, win, get your paycheck, get your bonus if he wins,
Yeah.
and then just fuck off back to the commentary desk. That's class.
Yeah.
That is class. What a way to do it.
Yeah. I think he's getting a lot of credit for stepping up here, and rightfully so.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Gangster.
Quick question from David, and then we'll go back into this card. If Aldo loses to Vera next week, 4 losses on the trot, does he have a decision to make? Yeah, he probably does, to be honest.
Yeah, he does, but he probably won't make it.
Yeah, he probably won't make it. Very true. He has a decision, won't make the decision. Or he will make the decision and just say, no, I'm going to continue.
Yeah.
We'll see. He always talked about boxing as well. I wonder if he'll ever try that. But
at this stage of career, come on, man.
The only thing about Aldo, he's not old. Like, he's old in terms of, like, fights. And that's one thing we should always talk about. A fighter isn't always, like... A fighter's 29 isn't my 29.
His brain is old.
Exactly. He hasn't the brain of a 40-year-old, probably.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Met him as well. Stand-up guy. Met him in the Disney shop, of all places. In a Disney shop. After he got knocked out by Conor. And it was so weird because... we were in a Disney shop and the missus...
You were over in Vegas.
Yeah. And the missus goes, I think Jose Aldo's over there. And I was like, what? He goes, yeah, I think Jose Aldo's over there. People are just looking at him. I went over like, yeah, that's Jose Aldo. And she goes, do you think he'll do a picture? And I'm like, maybe, but like we are Irish. He just got knocked out and he's probably getting stick all week. So I don't know. But we went over anyway, asked for a picture. And he was like, yeah, no problem. Took a picture with him. And then Leonardo Santos was beside him. And I was like, oh, good fight. But just before us, there was a few guys getting pictures with him as well. And after I said, like, well done to Leonardo Santos, they looked over and he goes, I think he was fighting. He must have been fighting as well. And he went over to him and started asking for pictures. Didn't know who he was, but it was fucking hilarious. But
do you know what the strangest bit of that there is? What? Your missus knew who Jose Aldo was.
I know, yeah. Well, she did fly to Vegas and for a UFC fight. So
did she go to the fight with you?
Yeah.
Nice.
She got me the flights and the hotel, and then we both paid for the tickets.
What hotel did you stay in?
MGM.
Nice.
Yeah. So weird because you just come out of your room, go down through the casino, keep walking, and then you go out to the arena. It's all inside. Like,
I was talking with someone there on a meeting at work a couple of days ago. You know, really make that awkward small talk at the start of every call.
Oh, Jesus, yeah.
Someone asked, is anyone going on holiday? Is anyone going to go on a massive holiday when this is all over? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to blow the arse of Las Vegas when this is all over. I'm going back to Vegas. I'm going to blow so much money.
There's some small talk for you. Yeah. Caesar's Palace. I didn't stay there, obviously. Stayed in MGM, but we obviously visited all the hotels, and that's such a nice hotel. You
could play blackjack. I was in the pool because one of my friends was staying there at the time, and we were staying across the road. So you get one guest at the pool as well. So I went over with him. You could play blackjack in the pool. Played a hand of blackjack in the pool at Caesar's Palace.
Weird. That's so weird. Such a weird city. Did you stay in Captain America's?
I stayed in Bally's.
Oh, what's that? I don't even know if I went in there.
It was cheap, and it was across the road. It was middle of the strip, so it was bang on. Yeah.
One of the smaller ones, is it?
A little, yeah, kind of.
Yeah. Smaller.
It was nice though. Yeah, smaller. Still fucking fuck off big, like in American terms, but
yeah,
it was nice. Yeah, grand.
Anyways, co-main event of this card: Abdul Razak Al Hassan, very exciting fighter, against Chaos Williams, who's also an exciting fighter. And of course, you have to be an exciting fighter with the name of Chaos Williams.
Yeah. Sounds like Cowboy Cerrone named him.
Yeah, it does, doesn't it? Yeah, Danger and Chaos. That's probably his next son's name or whatever. Good fight here. I think this is one of these fights though, right? Where I think it's a pick 'em in terms of like I think it could end very quickly on either side because both guys have that ability.
Yeah.
But I think if you actually look at skills and who has fought the better guys, it's Al Hassan. I think he is the better fighter in that sense. But it's a tough one to pick if you're betting on it because I really do think it could go either way because both these guys have the ability to finish.
That's an interesting take on the betting there, Rob. Because Razak Al Hassan,
should be a favour.
he's 2-5, yeah, and you can
Yeah.
get 15 there on Chaos Williams, so that's interesting.
Yeah.
At 2-5, I'm not going to take Al Hassan. I mean, like you say, it can go either way very quickly. So you'd be more inclined to take the 15-8 if you were having a bet. I'm probably not going on this fight though.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I wouldn't put you off the 15-8 on Chaos.
Yeah. It could go either way. Like Al Hassan is a good guy to put in there for your fantasy team, because he might get a quick win, but it could go either way.
This fantasy thing, don't you?
Yeah, well, you have to do it every week. You do it every event. It's a new team. I've been getting close. I've been getting really close.
Hitting the crossbar.
Pretty much. Pretty much. It's been frustrating, but it's been fun. Quickly jump into the chat. If you have any more questions, do get them in. We're going to go for another 15, 20 minutes maybe. Keenan TV, keep up the great work, my man. And the Return to the Kings, thank you. And there it is. Well, that's actually not Return to the King. That's the Fellowship of the Ring, but whatever. Mo Gwog. It's like Wagwan. Sounds similar. I used to work
all right,
I used to work at I'm turning into an old man. Literally. I used to work at Caesars, left Sin City for the Swamp. You better go before it's gone, lads. Yeah.
Oh, I'll be there before it's gone. Don't you worry about that.
And you'll notice Sean will just leave the place in tatters.
Vegas was class, man. What a spot.
Shit, Dave. Sean in Vegas goes two ways: prison or bankruptcy.
Yeah, and it was the latter one of those the last time.
Could go both ways, to be fair.
Yeah, could easily go both ways. I mean, if I'm going to do it well.
Yeah. Jan van der Bos is picking Felder by decision. Keenan said, "What's up, lads? Where have you been?" I was moving home, and then I was taking the piss. And then last week, I can't remember what Sean was doing, but he was busy. So we've been whatever. Just doing shit.
We've been arsing around in the pandemic.
Been arsing around, yeah. We need to revive this fucking channel. Anyways, not gonna be started. And as you can see, I'm wearing a hat, which means it's lockdown time. It's been like 2.5 weeks, about 3 weeks since I got a haircut, and it's gonna be another 2.5 to 3 weeks. So
would your missus not cut it? No, would you let her cut it?
Nah, because there's an actual date now. Like last time, we didn't know when the barbers are going to reopen.
That's true.
It's fine. It's not even that long, as I showed you. I'm not going to show the people. Don't embarrass myself. It's actually not that bad. Just no product in it, as they say. Nailed the security. There's an old saying, Dave: go on vacation, leave on probation. Very good. Very good.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, I like it. That's words to live by if you're Sean.
Yeah, think big, work smart.
Yeah. The Coco main event, if you want to call it that, is Kay Hansen against Corey McKenna. Interesting matchmaking here, Sean. Very interesting matchmaking. And I'd love to hear what the odds are on this one, because two prospects in this division put against each other really early into their careers. Why are they doing this?
Yeah, it is interesting matchmaking. And I think, do you know what? It's kind of matchmaking you tend to see more with one side of the fight having a European in it.
Yeah.
The odds are Kay Hansen's actually quite a big enough favourite, 2-49, and then you can get Corey McKenna at 2.75, which is 7-4. Corey McKenna sounds like an Irish bloke.
Yeah, I know. She's Welsh, isn't she?
Yeah, Welsh. Yeah. And then Kay, quite a hefty favourite there.
Not surprising, but I think there's a bit of recency bias in this one, because if you watch Corey McKenna in her last fight, it was on the Contender Series. She got a contract, but I didn't think she looked outstanding. I mean, she looked capable, she looked good, certainly looked like a prospect, but like usually on these Contender Series fights, you kind of have to get a finish to get a contract.
Yeah,
and I think she was the
division they're in as well.
Yeah, I know, exactly. I think that's partially what's happening here, but she did look good. But then if you look at Kay Hansen in her last fight, I thought it was kind of a close fight leading to the end, and then she got the arm triangle, or it was like an armbar, triangle armbar. And I'm not sure how the scoring was going on that one, but I just think the finish might be swaying the odds a little bit, because she looked impressive against Jiu Frey, who was an Invicta champion. So yeah, that's good. So yeah, interesting.
Any picks on it, Rob?
It's my pick would be Kay Hansen, but like at those odds, I wouldn't be putting money on her, because at those odds I'd be leaning more towards McKenna.
That's it. The fight isn't a massive bet for me. I wouldn't point anyone towards it, but yeah, I think if you're going to, you back the underdog if anything.
Yeah.
I mean, the fight is 4-9 to go the distance. So
4-9 to go the distance. Yeah. I wonder. Generally, women's fights, just it is what it is. They do go the distance. So
yeah, it's throw it. I can't see. Yeah.
Yeah, but Kay Hansen got a finish. I think Corey McKenna's quite tough though, so it's gonna be tough to finish her. Here's another interesting matchup, right? It's Antonio Arroyo, I can't pronounce his name, against Eric Anders.
This is a good fight.
I believe Eric Anders should be a favourite, but I find it difficult to bet on Eric Anders because he hasn't impressed me in his last few fights at all.
Dude's unreliable as hell,
isn't he? Like, I mean, he beat Gerald Meerschaert, Vinicius Moreira, lost to Christoph Jotko. But even in the Meerschaert fight wasn't great. He got a finish in that Moreira fight. He lost 3 on the trot before that. He seemed to be like a guy that the UFC were building up, and he just hasn't really worked out.
Yeah, he seems to be a guy who every time he's kind of stepped up has lost.
Yes.
I mean, he's lost to Lyoto Machida. He's lost to Thiago Santos. They're not bad losses.
Yeah.
Then he's lost to Elias Theodoru, Khalil Roundtree, beat Moreira and Meerschaert, like you said. Then lost to Jotko there in the first lockdown in May. Yeah, he is a favourite. He's 8-11. I couldn't have that price, I don't think.
No. So what price is or was it Arroyo? 11 and 10. Oh,
yeah, I think this fight again, it's not a bet for me.
No, it's not enough for me. But I'll pick because I can't. I haven't been impressed with Anders. I'm gonna pick Antonio. I'm gonna pick the Brazilian. He's a bit of a finisher at times as well, so I like him there. Here's a great fight, and I was waiting on this one because there was a question or a comment in the chat. Kevin from Chicago, Brendan Allen is a good prospect to watch. He has a win over Kevin Holland. Sean Strickland should give him a good test though. Strickland has good boxing skills and takedown offense, and that's the fight next. It is Strickland against Brendan Allen. I like this fight. Do you like this fight?
Really good fight. I mean, Brendan Allen has a win over Jack Marshman's last fight. Is that win over Kevin Holland as well? Did someone say there? Yeah, I mean, we've seen what Kevin Holland's been doing lately. He's looking to go 5-0 this year. He's 4-0 at the minute. So yeah, really good, interesting fight, that one. Priced quite closely as well. You can get Brendan Allen at 5-6 and Sean Strickland at even money. So yeah, bit of a pick 'em.
Yeah, and I think that's fair, to be honest. And again, it's a hard one to bet on because I thought Sean Strickland looked really good against Jack Marshman, but I don't think Jack Marshman is the best fighter in the world. Sean Strickland was talking a lot of shit in that fight. Remember, you could audibly hear him. I know you can hear everything because of no crowds, but like you could hear him every time. You're like, fall down, Jack, fall down, Jack, fall down. And he's punching him in the face.
Yeah.
But Brandon Allen looks really, really good on a very good win streak as well. Hasn't lost since 2018 against Anthony Hernandez. Man, I find this one hard to pick.
Funny enough, Brendan Allen has a loss to Eric Anders in LFA back in 2017.
Funny enough. We're gonna have to make a pick, so I want to make picks on all these. Like I've been high on Sean Strickland for a long time. He's a slight underdog, did you say? Sean Strickland.
Say that again, sorry.
I've been high on Sean Strickland for a while, and is he a slight underdog?
Yeah, slight underdog, even money. So
I'll take Sean Strickland, but I do agree with I can't remember who said it. Someone from Chicago that Brendan Allen is a good prospect. But I'll take Sean Strickland just because I've been high on him. What about you?
Yeah, I'll take Brendan Allen, but probably not a bet on this fight again for me.
Yeah. So maybe I was wrong about some decent bets on this card.
No, well, there's two standout bets to me, and it's the Reese McKee and Paul Felder double. So
fair enough. We'll talk about Reese now in 1 second. Ashley Yoder against Miranda Granger. Not too much to be said about this. Records very, very different. Ashley Yoder 7-6. Miranda Granger 7-1. But Yoder's been in the UFC a little bit longer. Has fought probably the better of girls. Yeah. But again, she's a very inconsistent fighter. Not a huge fan of her. I'd probably side here with Miranda Granger, to be honest.
Yeah, I'd be looking at Granger as well. You can get 8-13 on that one.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Alex Morono against Rhys McKee. Here's the one we wanted to talk about. Spoke about it a little bit. Why do you like this, and why do you like Rhys McKee in this one?
I just think at 13-8, there's a bit of value in that, and I think these are the kind of guys who we think Rhys should be beaten if he's going to go on a run in the UFC like we think he could.
Yeah, fair. I like the value on Rhys here.
Would you pick him?
Yeah, I'll pick him. I don't think Morono's not a world beater. I've seen enough from Rhys to say that he can win this fight. Will he win the fight? That's the question. Yeah. I'll say yes. I'll say he'll win it, but there might be a little bit of bias there because we know Rhys. He's good guy. So you said you wanted to do a double on Rhys and Felder. So what are you getting on that? What's the price?
It's just on the 7-1.
That's not bad. That is not bad.
Yeah, there's your Christmas money, folks.
Yeah. Sean's double of the week: Rhys McKee and Paul Felder.
Yeah, let's get it. Get that bread.
Yeah. Louis Smoker against Jose Alberto Quinones. I cannot pronounce his name, but he's been in the UFC for a while. Again, there's a lot of inconsistent fighters in this one. Louis Smoker has been a guy who was high on for a long time, had a very, very bad run, left the UFC, came back. I think he might have had like problems with alcohol or something, as far as I remember. Had a bad loss to Casey Kenny, but we've seen from Casey Kenny, excellent fighter. So yeah, interesting one. I'll pick Louis Smoker, but very inconsistent. I'd like to know what the odds are on this one.
You can get Quinones or whatever. You can get Jose at 6-5, and you can have Louis Smoker at 4-6. Jeez, yeah, pick your poison here. I don't know.
The interesting thing about Quinones, oh Jesus Christ, we're Irish, we can't pronounce these Mexican names. Quinones, there you go. Is that he, not an amazing record or anything, but a lot of his losses came to good guys. Nathaniel Wood, Sean O'Malley, Alejandro Perez. So, he is there. He has some good wins too. But I'll pick Louis Smoker just. Random Marcos against Kaneko Murata. I'll be honest, mate. Don't know too much. She fought for Invicta. Yeah, I'm gonna pick her because she's fought in Invicta and she has a very good record. And Random Marcos isn't great. Yeah, leave it at that. Tony Gravely, Geraldo De Freitas. Again, what are the odds on this one, Sean? Tell me.
You can have De Freitas at 5-4 and Tony Gravely at 4 or 8-13. Again, there's a lot of fights kind of priced around that pick'em sort of range. So it's a well matched card, I think, to be fair.
It is, yeah.
But tough to pick, to be honest.
Yeah. I will go with. Jeez, bro. I'll go with Gravely. Yeah. Gravy. And Donatale Mayes against Roque Martinez. Two heavyweights. Two kind of sloppy-ish heavyweights. Not great. It's one of their fights,
isn't it? This is the token heavyweight fight on the card, Rob,
exactly.
Isn't it?
I'm going to say first round KO for Mayes.
Nice. I'm going to say I haven't a fucking Scooby. Having a Scooby, dude.
Wonderful. Back to the chat real quick before we finish up. Let's get some quick fire questions in there. If you have any true or falses or anything like that, let's get them in.
Bryce Jones giving me a bit of shit in the chat though.
Why?
He says, someone tell this dude on the right to just shave the mustache. He spelled mustache wrong. We get it. It's for a good cause, but not doing yourself any favours, brother. I know it's disgusting. I do think I should be on a sex offender register for it. I did say this. I don't like it. I hate it. But it's for a good cause. So what can we do?
I love that. I don't think it's even that bad. But
that's horrible.
To be fair, Sean did preface at the start that he's not a big fan of it either.
Midnight, November 31st, it's in the bin.
Yeah.
Oh, it's only 30 days in November. Even better. Midnight, November 30th, it's in the bin.
The David Little. Did you guys see the air incident last week? Holy Jesus Christ!
Oh, we actually didn't talk about this. It was
No.
nasty. Did you see that slow-mo, man?
Why did they keep showing it? That's what I want to know.
Yeah, normally like they don't show bad KOs when a guy is panned out. They don't show
Yeah.
them, and then I'm like, I want to see it. Like, show it to me.
Yeah.
And like,
It was
God, they keep
almost
showing
like
this one.
it was almost like a nut shot where you have to show it from every angle. It's like, ooh, it was disgusting. If you haven't seen it, don't go watch it. But
Yeah. Well, I
essentially,
mean, might be
yeah.
for some people.
essentially, a guy got his ear punched off his head.
Mangled.
Ooh.
His ear in a different dimension.
That was like remember Leslie Smith? Something similar
Yeah.
happened. Ew. Da.
Roy Blood said something interesting there. The line movement is not looking good for Felder, plus a tough weight cut.
How's the?
I didn't. Well, I assumed he's going to have a tough weight cut. He took the fight in 3.5 days' notice. He hasn't moved. Like, I just looked at the odds there. He hasn't moved over here. Now, he might have moved on the Vegas odds, in
Let's
which
have a
case
look.
I'd be interested. If someone in the chat can tell me the Vegas odds on it, I'd be interested. He did open up now. I remember he did open up 6-4 on the dog and drift a little bit, but I think 6-4. When I seen that, I expected it to drift a little bit anyway. So yeah, 13-8 I think for me is okay, but hasn't drifted too much since the opening line.
He's so on best fight odds he opened at plus 140. It's now the closing range now is like between plus 150 and plus 170.
Yeah, plus 150 I think is roughly 6-4.
Yeah.
So
So
yeah,
it hasn't
no,
massively changed.
no,
Right?
not a massive change.
Not a massive change.
A little bit of a change from the opening line, but not massive.
Yeah.
So to be expected, really, in my opinion.
Yeah. John C is also a Chicago listener. There's a few. Was the guy Bryce Jones? He was from Chicago as well. And then you have obviously Kevin from Chicago. What's with all the Chicago viewers? Where are we getting Chicago views? This is brilliant. We're now a Chicago podcast, Sean.
Yeah,
It's official.
get us over to Chicago, boys.
Yeah, we'll get over there and we'll run amok.
We'll smash it up.
Yeah. Felder reached plus 165 apparently from Royal Road.
Interesting.
It's down a bit. Interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch the weigh-ins to see, because if I do any bets, you have to check that beforehand.
Yeah.
But like, I really do feel if Felder thought he would have trouble making the weight, he probably wouldn't have accepted the fight. So
Or you got it at a catch fit.
yeah, they don't like doing main event catch weights. Did I see that the was it the Brendan Allen fight? Was that at a catch weight?
Could be. I didn't see actually.
I think it might be.
It's rare enough that you see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, 195 actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Strange.
That's weird. Like 195 almost tells me that this was contracted at that way.
Yeah, it would do.
Yeah. And
Yeah. Sure not.
that's very weird. Cool. We never really do this, but Sean, is there any recommendations that you have for people who may be in a lockdown or may not just want some recommendations, be it a book, be it some music, be it some films?
Books. Geez, I can give you loads of books. If anyone wants book recommendations, hit me up. Dan Hardy's book's a great read. Andy Lee's book is a great read. I'm not sure too many of our listeners will know him. He's an Irish boxer, traveller descent. Was a world champion, middleweight back in the day. Really interesting book just about growing up as a fighter, and he trained under Emmanuel Stewart, then trained under Sugar Hill, who's now training Tyson Fury. Just a really interesting story. That's a good one. I'm trying to get all I don't know if too many of our listeners are football fans. Read quite a few football books.
Any books about Chicago, Sean?
Yeah, actually. Did you know I had? Yeah, you did, I'd say.
No, I didn't.
The book about Phil Jackson's book.
Holy fuck,
Oh,
that's a coincidence. And I have
yeah.
a movie recommendation about Chicago.
Yeah, Phil Jackson's book, the coach of the Chicago Bulls, when they're under 3-peat or won the 6 rings under in the NBA championships. His book, 11 Rings, is a really, really good read.
I've heard actually. Yeah, I did.
Really recommend that.
You told me about that. The Trial of the Chicago 7. It's on Netflix, so if you have Netflix, it's free, pretty much. And it's a fucking good ass movie. It is a good ass movie. I'd recommend that film. Yeah, I just go with that. I didn't get this book. I'm gonna grab it here because I haven't started it yet, but I'm gonna grab it. Fill some airtime, Sean.
Yeah, Rob's been talking about reading books lately. Because I read quite a lot. I have a Kindle and I also read just physical books. But yeah, reading quite a lot during lockdown. Have been recommended books to Rob lately. Oh, I know what book he's coming with here. Yes, he recommended this one to me a while ago. I know what book you're coming with.
Is it this MMA one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is apparently, can you say that?
No, wrong camera.
You're looking at my camera.
Oh, I meant to.
Yeah, you can see that. It's by Jonathan Snowden, who has been blacklisted from the UFC. But he done the Ken Shamrock book, and I actually really enjoyed the Ken Shamrock book. I thought it was quite good. And then I saw this one, which has been out for a long time. It's called Total MMA, and on the back there's some good kind of reviews from people who you would respect, saying that this should be taught. If there was like a class on MMA, this should be like a recommended reading. Has really good reviews on Amazon. Can't recommend it in terms of like, have I read it? And yes, go read it now. But that's kind of one of the ones that are on my
While you were
shortlist.
off getting that book, I said you've been talking a lot lately about reading books, but haven't necessarily got around to them.
Exactly, yeah.
I'll give you two more book recommendations. Moneyball is a fantastic read.
I like the movie.
Absolutely brilliant. And if you like Moneyball, you'll also like Soccernomics, which is basically Moneyball applied to soccer. Really good read as well. Two of my favourite books.
Very good. That one that you sent me a screenshot of, can't remember the name of it, but it was a green cover. It's about football. I'm not sure if it's out yet.
Oh yeah, Loving Sports when sports doesn't. Yeah.
Yes.
So I bought a book recently, saw it advertised, or saw someone talking about it on Twitter. Looked it up, and it's called Loving Sports when sports doesn't love you back. And this is something that I've kind of been talking to you a lot about lately, or like recently, just gone in times gone by. There's a lot of conflicts within sport as a fan that you kind of have to grapple with, and you don't really care when you're young. I didn't care when I was young. Be it like doping, be it financial doping, be it like who's running your club, are the human rights abusers and stuff like this. And it's just around things like this and grappling with that as a fan.
Yeah.
And it's stuff that stuff that I care about now. As in, I don't want the owners of my club to be killing slaves to build the World Cup in Qatar.
Yeah.
I don't want the owners or my team to be knowingly doping. As in,
unless they're winning, Sean. Unless they're winning.
Yeah,
I'm joking.
I find it like, how many sports do you watch now where you know they're doping? And I would rather everyone knew they're doping. I'd rather it was just openly doping.
Yeah, openly doping.
Yeah, openly doping, as in athletics, right? Riddled with doping. Riddled with it. Someone tell me it's not. You're a liar. It is. It's riddled with doping. And we all know the doping, but like they all say they're not. As in, can we all just like quit the bullshit? Tell us you're doping, and whoever dopes best wins.
Yeah, you're all doing it. It's like the shit with Lance Armstrong when he was ostracized, and rightfully so. But like everyone else was doing it as well. So it's like that. It's Bill Burr had a great joke. It's like, yeah, like our cheating motherfucker just beat your cheating motherfucker.
Yeah,
you know, pretty much it.
The book looks really interesting. Haven't got around to reading yet. I might read it next. I also bought. I have a big ass reading list at the minute. I bought another book called Wings of Change. I don't know if anyone's. I don't know how big soccer fans people are here, but Red Bull have like a franchise of clubs. They have New York Red Bulls. They have a couple down in South America. They have Red Bull Salzburg. They have Red Bull Leipzig, and they have a club in Australia as well, I believe. And they own this. They kind of just move players around, develop players. It's like a network of clubs. And I bought a book called Wings of Change on how they run the whole operation. And there's like three guys kind of at the head of it, coaching wise, like mentor wise, just run it. It looks a really interesting book. So.
Very good. Yeah, I think I don't really have. I started to listen to Eddie Hearn's new book, which is more like he said at the start of it, he says like, this isn't necessarily about my career in boxing, but because it's like, it's about how to succeed, essentially, is the kind of premise of it. But because he's explaining how to succeed based on his past accomplishments, / struggles, I guess, he does talk a lot about it. So it's an interesting one. I'm only like maybe 5 chapters in, listening to it on Audible, so you have just Eddie Hearn talking in your ear holes, which is kind of funny. But yeah, it's pretty good. if you want to listen to some very sad music, listen to Phoebe Bridgers' new album. It's phenomenal. Do you listen to Phoebe Bridgers?
Don't know who that is. I listen to quite a bit of music, but yeah,
It's very sad. It's great.
yeah, I'm not going to listen to that at the minute.
Okay, don't. But if you ever want to feel very sad with some good music to help you get there, go for it. A couple more questions and then we'll get out of here.
Yeah.
Tottenham. It is Tottenham. John C said I have a small bit of money on Tottenham to win this year, so maybe that
Don't think
counts
it's
as
a bad
me
bet.
caring about football. Yeah, it's not bad.
I think anyone like I think at the Premier League this year, if you're backing a winner, I think you're as well backing someone at a bigger price, because I think City are like under evens favourites at the minute, which I think is laughable.
Yeah.
Liverpool are riddled with injuries. Salah tested positive for COVID today.
Yeah.
They're losing Salah, Keita, Mane in January, Matip in January.
Was
African Cup of Nations is next year as well. So
yeah,
I couldn't be having Liverpool at any price at the minute.
How long is Van Dijk going to be out for? Look like a bad one.
A long ass time. And Joe Gomez gone as well now.
Whew. Yeah, I think that counts. Sean, how do you feel about the Abu Dhabi Stadium? Do you think it was ethically built?
Was it fuck like? I mean, more slaves have died looking at building this World Cup in Qatar for 2022 than have died in every other World Cup combined. It's ridiculous.
Fucking shocking.
Gary Neville has a thing on Sky Sports YouTube. You should check it out. Where he goes over to, and they're living in basically concentration camps building this, and they're promised all this stuff about, they're brought over from the African nations, and they're promised all this money, and they can send it home, and they'll provide for their families, and it's bullshit. They're living in concentration camps building this World Cup. Qatar bribed their way to the World Cup. Don't sue me. Like we all.
Well, it is what it is.
Yeah, it's disgusting to be honest. That World Cup. And I would love to go to a World Cup. I'm not going to that one.
Yeah.
Like not
plus,
maybe,
what? It's
not
going to be the winter, is it?
Yeah, this is the thing.
Like...
Yeah, it has to be in winter because of the heat, and the stadiums are going to still have aircon. But this is the thing as well. I think that book, Loving Sports and Sports Doesn't Love You Back, kind of looks at as well. As in, me taking a stand on the 2022 World Cup doesn't mean anything.
No.
Me saying I'm not going, I'm not buying the games or whatever, it doesn't mean anything. As in, you need everyone to do it. And this is the thing with being like a fan at the minute of sports. As in, it's riddled with corruption and like financial doping and money laundering and like abuse of human rights. It's unreal. Like, so
yeah, it's ridiculous.
I could talk all day about that stuff, but yeah,
it's in every sport as well. I mean,
yeah,
Chelsea is owned by an oligarch.
Yeah, like
the UFC, but MMA, a prominent figure is some fucking some really bad dictators, boxing. Very heavily involved boxing. Yeah, holding fights in Saudi Arabia and there's
MTK.
Yes. Let's get out of here before we get joking. Dev Little, what's the name of that football version of Moneyball again, Sean?
Soccernomics.
It's really good. Text that to me, Sean, because I'll forget that as well. But that's it. Let's get out of here. Sean, thanks for joining me as always. Let's do this again next week, hopefully. Most likely Friday. It seems to be working out for us. I don't know about you, Sean. It seems to be working out for me. Got to do more on this channel. We will. But until then, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And yeah, peace out. I'll see you later.
Cheers, guys.